Good morning, good morning. Could everybody please take your seats? Please have a seat, everyone. Thank you. Come in, come in. Thank you. Aloha. On behalf of Going Home Hawaii and the Hawaii Island Going Home Consortium, I wish to extend to all of you a warm welcome this morning. Our Going Home Hawaii Reentry and Restoration Summit is really our pleasure to convene, and we're so happy to see all of you here from far and near. Thank you all for coming. My name is Les Estrella. I'm the president and CEO of Going Home Hawaii. Our MC for today will be Heather Lusk, Executive Director of Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction Center. Thank you, Heather. But before we begin, could we please all stand? Thank you. Our thoughts and prayers are with all those affected during this incredibly challenging time. We stand together as one community. Let's please join hands with each other in a moment of silence to send our prayers and aloha to all our Maui ohana. Mahalo. And now to introduce our MC for today, Heather Luss.
Aloha, everybody. I'm sure we'll be taking many moments today to remember and to honor what's happening on Maui and throughout our islands. As Les said, my name is Heather Lusk. I'm with the Hawai'i Health and Harm Reduction Center. For those of you that aren't familiar with us, we are 5 years now into the merge of the Life Foundation, which is our 40th anniversary this year, the largest and oldest HIV organization in the Pacific, and the Child Project, a statewide harm reduction and street outreach. I'm really blessed to be able to open us up today. Before I introduce our first speaker, just wanted to get a sense of who's in the room. We often start with our policymakers and our elected officials, but in consultation with Les, I'm actually going to flip that, because we're all here because of the people impacted by the legal justice system. So I'd like to ask anybody, if you're willing, for people with lived experience, those have been impacted by the justice system, those that have loved ones, if you could please stand in honor of everybody that has been impacted by justice involvement. Woo! And of course, a moment for those who are not with us right now, whether they're with us in spirit, and really remembering that we're here because of those of you that just stood, those that have come before us, and those that are impacted by reentry into our communities. I also just need to make a quick joke because we are a sponsor and we're not up here. He said I could put a Post-it note up here as well to put a Hawai'i Health and Harm Reduction Center, but just want to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors who are really supporting today's summit. Thank you so much, sponsors, for taking time and your resources to allow this beautiful day together. Okay. So we are blessed to have our Hawaii County Mayor, Mitch Roth, here today. He has been such a champion, whether it was at the prosecutor's office or at the mayor's office, to ensure that the lines between the public safety department, the community, and health are not really lines, are they? So thank you so much, Mayor, for coming up and sharing your perspective and for taking the time to be here today amongst all the other priorities that you have. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you. Aloha. You know, it's kind of funny, you come up here and you start looking around the room and you start thinking about things, and one of the things I think about is the going home board meetings that I sat on when I was a deputy prosecuting attorney, which is now over 10 years ago, and thinking about what has come of this and being in this room today. It's just a wow moment. You know, I think Hawaii County has really been blessed to have some really great programs. I saw Grayson, I see Judge Ibarra back there from our drug courts and our veterans treatment courts, Don West from the judiciary, and think, you know, we did some things here different than they did in the rest of the world. I see Tim Hansen, who's now at our office, but who started the very first restorative justice program in the United States here on Hawaii Island. And think, wow. Some of the other things I think about, I see some men of pa'a, and my prayers go out to Iopa, but just thinking about that program and what that has done for our island and how they come out and they support over and over again and give back to our community. I think about Camp Agape, a camp for kids whose parents are incarcerated, which we've been very involved with, and the relationships and what we've seen coming out of those camps. And then I think about the relationships that I have with people who I've actually prosecuted and who I look up to as my heroes. And think, wow, I have a sign on my desk and it says Imua Imuna. And so most of you probably know what that word Imua means. Go forward. Imuna is a word that's found throughout the Bible. And most of you probably don't know it because it's found throughout the Bible in Hebrew. It means faith. But it's more than just the meaning of faith. It's the meaning that, you know, we have a God, we have a loving God who allows us free will to make mistakes, but has a hand in everything that happens. And so with everything that happens, sometimes we think bad, but oftentimes there's course correction. And so I look through this and I think about what we're doing here and how we're coming together. And I just ask that as we go forward in this, go forward in faith, or imua imuna, that there is a lot of hopes. That you think about people who have been incarcerated, and I think about the saying that goes, failure is a point of time. It's not a definition of who you are. And I think about so many of the people that I'm seeing here today, some friends that I see here today that I know were on the other side and could have just let that ruin their whole lives. But yet, they have made their lives so much better. And not only have made their lives better, but they've made the lives of the people in this community better. And I really think that's what we're all coming here today for this summit to do, is we want to make sure that we're taking everybody with us. I think I saw Sam Paga, OSMD, nobody gets left behind, is I think one of those things. Reign strong and love strong. Love strong. I think that's a reason why we're here today. For those of you, who are on your journey, I think we're all on our journey, by the way. Doesn't matter if you're, someone who's coming out of prison or you're the mayor of the county of Hawai'i. We're all on a journey. And I'm so proud to be on this journey with all of you. For those of you who are in businesses or in the government that are trying to assist our people coming out or going into reentry or going through some of the other issues that we're going through, I really believe that what you're doing is God's work. So thank you so much. Have an amazing day on purpose, and aloha.
Mahalo, Mayor. Before I introduce our next speaker, could we take a moment to see our elected officials stand up and be appreciated for being here today? So whether you've been elected mayor, I believe we have representatives, judge, senators, please, thank you. Let's give it up for our elected officials. Thank you. What's wonderful about summits like this is that great opportunities for legislative priorities might come out of this, so really grateful to have them all here. Next up is somebody with a fabulous name, because her name is Heather Kimball, and she is the chair of the Hawai'i County Council. And Heather, please come up, and thank you so much for being here today and the support of the County Council.
Not to age myself, but you must have been born in the 70s too. It was a very popular name back then. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Reentry and Restoration Summit. I just want to thank Les and all the organizers of today's events for bringing us all together so that we can have this really important conversation about how we make transformative changes to our approach to reintegration of justice-involved individuals. I struggle with a blank page when I'm trying to put together a speech, so I thought I'd start by looking for a quote, and I found one that I think really encapsulates what we're here for today, but I'm going to save it for the end. The concepts behind today's summit really represent, to me, a powerful movement, one that really holds the power for transformation and for renewal within our community. And so all of you being here today at this summit is not only a testament to our shared commitment to collaborate, but also an embodiment of hope. I think I can speak on behalf of all of our county council members when I say that we support our host organization, Going Home Hawai'i, because they are a proven example of how we can support our justice-involved men, women, and youth to integrate into the fabric of our community. Their dedication to reentry services through collaboration with public and private partners, which together provide a spectrum of support services such as housing, case management, mental health, substance abuse treatment and referrals, only serves to multiply the investment that the Council makes in the Going Home Hawaii program. By bringing us all together for this summit, Going Home Hawaii is further expanding that return on investment by creating an opportunity for all of us to contribute to developing innovative, culturally appropriate, and reentry and reintegration programs for individuals, their families, and their communities. The very essence of today's gathering is to break the cycle of recidivism through housing solutions, healthcare, employment, and community safety. This is not just a noble aspiration, it is a fundamental shift towards building a stronger, healthier community. Supporting successful reentry is a proven mechanism for promoting community safety, reducing incarceration costs, and enhancing the overall well-being of our society. So back to that quote, the one that really spoke to me to describe the purpose of today's summit. It comes from Hafsat Abiola, who is a human, civil, and democratic rights activist from Nigeria. She said, "Peace comes from being able to contribute the best of what we have and all that we are towards creating a world that supports everyone." But here's the important part. But is also securing the space for others to contribute the best that they have and all that they are. As we embark on this summit, let's embrace this idea. We are not only here to give the best of ourselves, but we are also here to make that space for others to contribute the best of themselves as well. Today, as we join hands, we're here to learn from each other, connect with like-minded allies, to forge a path towards effective reentry and restoration, and in doing so, create the space for our justice-involved brothers and sisters to regain their footing, rediscover their potential, and together build a more just, hopeful, and peaceful Hawaii. Thank you all for being part of this pivotal moment, for giving the best of yourselves to contribute to the building blocks of long-lasting corrections reform and reentry and restoration programs. Thank you very much. Aloha.
Okay, so our standing up isn't over, so before we introduce the next speaker, let's hear it for our county employees, our state representatives, and all the folks that don't get paid enough for the work that they do for our islands and the state. So if you could stand up, please, our state and county employees. I'm looking at you, Dr. Champion. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Who else? All right. Thank you. That's, yes, Steve over there. All right. Carlos. All right. Look at all these great folks. Thank you. Tim. All right. Thank you. So I think what's so incredible today is looking at the interdisciplinary folks that are here. We are looking at all kinds of levels, and somebody to give us a bigger picture of what's happening across our public safety, especially as January 1 comes, right, Director? I'd like to introduce Director Tommy Johnson, the Director of the Department of Public Safety.
Aloha. I'm not as a polished speaker as the two previous ones, so you'll have to bear with me on my speech here. So just a few things real quick. I'll give you a little history about myself. I came to Hawaii on vacation in 1992 while I was in the military after the first Gulf War. I told myself if I was ever stationed here, I'd never leave. Of course, I would never get stationed here. So I decided in 1996 I was going to move here. So I moved to Hawaii in August of 1996, started working for the state in March of 1997, and I've been here ever since. Even though I'm from Philadelphia and a diehard Eagles fan, I will never travel to the mainland between November and March because it's just too damn cold for me now. I'm acclimated to Hawaii now. So, with that said, as you can tell, I'm not the Honorable Dr. Governor Josh Green. However, I'm honored to be here representing him today while he focuses his time and energy on rebuilding and recovery in the Maui community. I visited Maui last Friday. I went to the mainland for a conference. I got there Wednesday night. I had to fly back Friday morning. I went to Maui that Saturday morning, bright and early, with our Deputy Director for Law Enforcement to walk the devastated area. I met with the mayor's managing director, the police chief. We have dispatched dozens of deputy sheriffs here to assist and equipment. And as I explained to the mayor's staff, if public safety has it, you need it, you'll get it, period. So my thoughts and prayers go out to the people of Maui. As Heather indicated, my name is Tommy Johnson. I'm the Director of the Department of Public Safety. On behalf of both the governor and my department, I want to thank all of you for being here. I would especially like to say mahalo to Les Estrella and the Going Home Hawaii crew for their hard work and dedication in organizing and coordinating this Going Home Hawaii 2023 Reentry and Restoration Summit. As many of you know, the Department of Public Safety will be transitioning to the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation effective 1 January 2024. As a director, my goal is to guide the department through this successful transition. This is an ideal time for this change to occur, for us to embrace the paradigm shift that's needed to effect positive change in the criminal justice system, and particularly the jails and prisons. Some may see our system as a punitive system. What we want to do is change it into a model of more treatment and program-oriented approach. Our vision is to promote community safety while focusing on rehabilitation of our offenders and ensuring their successful reentry back into the community. Granted, there are major challenges such as overcrowding, aged facilities, lack of funding, etc. On a positive note, we have some of the most dedicated and committed staff in our facilities who continue to show up to work to devote their time in ensuring our inmate population while in our custody and care. And contrary to what often is portrayed in the media, what is not often talked about is that for every one thing that goes wrong in a facility, there are thousands of things that go right every day. Thousands. And I like to give credit to the staff in the facilities who come to work knowing that instead of an 8-hour shift, they may be pending a 16-hour shift to work in 24 hours. And so my hats go off to them. I have been working in various capacities with and or within the Department of Public Safety for the past 26 years. I spent 6 years of that time from 2007 to 2010 and 2020 to 2022 as a Deputy Director for Corrections, overseeing the state's jail and prison system. And I can tell you, our system is old and antiquated. The facilities are not designed for the populations we currently have, and they're not designed for the programs that we need to provide, in short. I hope to modernize and upgrade our existing system, integrating best practices and successful models from other jurisdictions, while ensuring we also maintain respect for our unique culture. Standing here, I see a dynamic group of individuals and organizations that are part of an expanding network of people and organizations focused on rehabilitation and restorative justice for our incarcerated population, and those recently released, and are all focused on changing the system for the better, working together with partnerships. Too often, public safety previously worked in silos. And some departments, we have 17 departments in the executive branch of government, they tend to work in silos. I want to break the silos apart. I want to partner with community organizations. We need to have better outcomes. I started out as a youth corrections officer in March 1997 when I started working for the state. At that time, some of those juveniles had adult relatives in the criminal justice system. Now, when I walk through the facilities, I see some of those same juveniles who are now part of the adult system and who have children now, may be involved with HRCF. We have to break the cycle. It's a generational cycle, and we have to provide wraparound services for those people when they do come to the criminal justice system. But equally as important is as many jail diversion programs as possible to stop people from coming to jail and provide the services in the community. It's much cheaper to provide services in the community than it is to provide services in the facility. To give you a case in point, it's about approximately $9 a day to provide services to the parole population. It's $258 a day for an incarcerated person. That's what it costs the state. So if we can do it for $9 a day, or even before they go on parole, then we should try that as the system as a whole. As you may know, the Department of Public Safety is comprised of 3 divisions: the Administration Division, Law Enforcement, and Corrections. We are most known for our Corrections Division, which is our jails and prisons. The Corrections Division is by far the largest of the 3 divisions and is vested with the responsibility to ensure and care for the custody of all persons committed to us by the courts or otherwise detained by the department. It is also larger than the entire judicial branches and legislative branches of government. That should tell everyone the size, scope, and complexity of the challenges we face in the criminal justice system. Our correction system should not be larger than our entire judicial branch of government. It should be the other way around. We should not be incarcerating people who don't need to be incarcerated, who don't pose a risk. I'll give you some classic examples. We have people in custody with $10, $20, $50 bail, $70 bail. They have mental health issues. We have no choice but to take them. But their needs are better served in the community. Jail is the most expensive, least effective option for people with mental health issues. They need to be in the community. What you may not be familiar with is that the Corrections Division is also responsible to provide programs, services that will enable persons released from our custody to function as productive, contributing, law-abiding members of our community. I would like the new Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation to take that a step further. I would like to see these offenders thrive and excel in the community to become leaders and role models, to earn not just minimum wage, but to earn living wages so they can take care of their families and become contributing members of society. Effective evidence-based rehabilitation services and programs while incarcerated is critically important. Our Reentry Coordination Office is reassessing our intake assessment. We're hiring the American Correctional Association to look at our assessment process to make sure that we're assessing folks appropriately and they're not missing anything. We've contracted with Chaminade University to ensure that our classification process is accurate, that we're not overclassifying inmates, which means we're not keeping inmates in higher custody levels than they really should be. Our reentry office is also looking at our programs. A lot of our programs are 20 and 30 years old. So to be honest with you, the needs of the offender today are different than they were 20 and 30 years ago when we approved the curriculum. So we need to look at, are we providing effective curriculum? Are our programs effective? And if they are, then we should see reductions in recidivism. So part of the process of this paradigm shift is to go back and look at all of our policies and procedures, to look at our curriculum, to make sure we're meeting the needs of the offender today, and we're providing evidence-based programs and wraparound services. And what I mean by wraparound services is this. We do a great job of assessing someone's risk and needs when they come in. We do a bad job of determining what do they need to successfully transition back out. So we enter into initiatives to provide civil ID cards. We have a pilot project on Lava now for that. We're entering into an agreement with the Social Security Administration to provide replacement Social Security cards to American-born citizens. There's a separate process for those legal aliens, those born overseas, military bases. We'll help them with that. We already have a process in place to replace birth certificates. But we also have a process in place to issue a free bus pass. But we need to look at housing. That is the biggest challenge for offenders coming out. So unfortunately, some type of offenses bar offenders from staying in public housing. But the PHAs, the public housing authorities, do have authority to waive certain criteria. So I want to work with organizations that are here today and individuals and work with the PHAs, the public housing authorities, to try to get these people into housing. Now, even though there's many criminogenic factors, we find that the three things that will help determine someone's success is that one, that they have a safe place to lay their head at night, which is a nurturing environment. Two, that they're in a caring relationship, and three, that they're earning a living wage, not just a minimum wage, they're not struggling. So if we can help them with those, well, we can't help them with the relationship issue, but we can help them with 2 out of 3. But if we can make sure that we provide those services to them, then I think we'll have better outcomes. And so with this paradigm shift with the Department of Public Safety from PSD to the Department of Correction and Rehabilitation, we really want to partner with the organization. So I will depend on organizations like Heather's organization, Going Home Hawai'i, and some others. So I'm getting off script. Let me get back to my thing here. By focusing on education, culture, social skills, and other healing and healthy activities available to help their minds and bodies prepare, we exponentially increase their chance of successful transition and reintegration back into the community. We must provide work, training, and education programs and opportunities geared toward providing a solid foundation of marketable skills that gives them room to advance in the marketplace. To do this, we can use technology and partnerships, but we know that recidivism remains a challenge, and that my department welcomes the opportunity to work with programs like Going Home Hawaii here on the Big Island, and other programs such as BISAC, Heather Lusk's organization, the Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction, our state Correctional System Oversight Commission, the Department of Labor, the men and women of Pa'a, the governor's homelessness team, and the various county and state agencies and organizations, all vested in our shared mission to increase positive outcomes and reduce recidivism. Again, much mahalo to the Going Home Hawaii for coordinating this summit, bringing us all together, and for providing support and resources for justice involved individuals. On behalf of the Honorable Governor Dr. Josh Green and the state of Hawaii, thank you for your dedication and ongoing efforts to improve our communities.
I think I can speak for most of us that we look forward to collaborating with the Director Johnson in the new Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. In fact, one of Hawaii's own, Sana, became the Deputy Director, and so I think there's a lot of opportunities for collaboration. Before I bring up the man of the day, I did just want to give a shout out and allow folks to stand up that have not stood up yet. Let's talk about our community partners, our advocates, our case managers, our outreach workers, everybody out there that's boots on the ground trying to support people coming into our communities and preventing them from going in. Come on, y'all, I know a bunch of you that work in this. Come on, Kumukahi, come on, BISAC, come on, Bridge House, come on, all right. Community Alliance on Prisons, all right, all right. So again, most of y'all don't do it for the money. We don't pay enough for this. You're here because you care and because you want to make a difference. Speaking of making a difference, we are all here because of one man and his amazing team, his board, and his group of folks that said we need to have this huge summit. And so very proud to welcome Les Estrella back up to bring us home before we get into our plenary.
Wow, thanks again. You know, what everyone has been saying really is about all of us coming together and for one purpose. It's really centered around community. It's centered around us being healthy and safe all together. And so we have that common, really common goal, all of us. We all do it in different ways. We don't always have to agree, which we don't, of course. But at the same time, just being here together and working collectively and collaboratively, with all of our partners, whether, it be from business to the courts, to community partners and providers, landlords and housing specialists, and even our experts that have come here from the continent and from across the waters here in our different islands. It's really all of us working together. So the summit is not a starting point. For us, it's a continuation. It's a big jump forward, though. We have been doing this work for many, many years, and along with many of you. So it's not something we're just starting off with today. I want to bring also, we talked about organization, and we're so proud that we have all of our board members here, that they are participating in the summit in very meaningful ways and giving presentations and everything. So we're very proud of our board, and also our staff, who every day work not only helping to plan this, but keeping the operations going. So I wanted to bring up our Director of Operations, Kimi Palacio.
Oh, okay. Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It was a pleasure being at the front desk and getting to welcome all of you, many faces whom I only have seen on Zoom for many, many years. And it's nice to feel you, get to hug you, and share space with you today. So everybody, of course, knows this wonderful man. I've gotten to know him over the last 2 decades since I was a teenager. So to say that he's been a mentor to me is such a small way of explaining who he is and the important work that we've done and continue to do with all of you in our community. Our Big Island community is so special. We always say that. And now to have a consortium made up of people throughout the state is so exciting, and it's really bridging us together and moving as one. So Les said when I walked up here and he hugged me that I could say whatever I want. So that gives me, this man, he trusts me too much. But all I want to say is, again, mahalo for being here. We hope that you enjoy your time. Thank you to everyone who is speaking today. I've seen a preview of what they're about to talk about today. It's very exciting. It's all going to come together and make sense why we chose specific topics to focus on today, because these are all of the things other than the recent devastation that has happened on the island of Maui, which was another reason that we were happy to see everybody today. Because in Hawaii, when we get to embrace one another and share together in the sadness, the overwhelming sadness that we all feel, whether we're from Maui, we have family from Maui, everybody throughout the island chain feels like family to us, right? So, since you said I could say whatever I want, I'm gonna use this time to say, if you could do me a huge favor, because I work real hard on this, go on Instagram. Oh, I got excited, sorry. I knocked the microphone. And look up @Going Home Hawaii. And please, please follow us. If you want, post a story and tag us. I will re-add it to our story. We love to see stories from everybody else's perspective. And you can send us messages. Just let you know it's going to be me who replies. But again, thank you so much, and thank you to our amazing team who are always so quietly hidden in the behind the scenes and are just sweating bullets now thinking that I'm going to call them up here. I'm not, don't worry. But I hope you enjoy your time here, and thank you so much for being here.
Again, thank you all for participating today and for all your generous support throughout the many, many years. There's much more to come, of course. I want to also thank Naleo TV. They're here, and this is being live streamed. So on our Facebook page, Going Home Facebook page, and also on Naleo. So tell your friends and families, you guys are all live right now. Okay? Enjoy the day. Thank you.
Okay, forgive me, just a bit of housekeeping. So if you haven't found the luas, they're out the door to the right and then to the right again. In a moment, I'm going to introduce our first plenary speaker, and then after that, we will have a 10-minute bio break, but of course, take care of yourselves if needed. Then after our plenary speakers this morning, we'll have lunch, then we'll see the film, and then get into breakout sessions. So really, again, thank you to Les and the entire team, as well as our hosts here at the King Cam Hotel. It is my honor to introduce our first plenary speaker today. Dr. Jamie Miller has dedicated both her entire personal and professional life to her community. Ever since I met her, I decided I want to be her when I grow up, though I think you're younger than me. And her inspiration she has many hats in our community, but today her hat is with Ekolu Mianui, and I'm sure she'll share a bit about her son Ekolu and what brought her today. But even more so, to really spend time on the Hawai'i initiative, the Pono framework to support, which has been really growing, and I think you have several partners now, and is really a great way to frame the entire day today. So she has the next hour with us, I believe, as well, with our Tony as well, to talk about some of the amazing work she has done with people with lived experience and our peers. So please join me in having a warm welcome to Dr. Jamie Miller.
Where's Tony? Tony, wave. Where is she here? If anybody sees Tony, she can tell her to come up here. Let me open my notes, please. Ai ai puna lula la ea tanani o na ko ola oe ulu vehi ko au na hele la ea tau anui mauno la i mauli ai na la ea tamoa e na la paue Aina ye mai ana tapu ana la ea Aloha ka aina tanani e No e liliu o kalani e Aloha aina kako Mahalo for having me here and Les, what an amazing, amazing job you did in bringing people together at the right time, at the right place, for the right reasons. I share with you my aina, Punalu'u. Wait, excuse me. Punalu'u on Oahu, where I'm from, my one hanau, where myself, my sister here, Jill, and our sibling were raised, and we continue to have connection there to our aina that has shaped us. Now my children and my grandchildren, Pico and their Ieve are in the ground there so that they always know where they're from and who they are and can do this oli like I did, and even better. They get better. Each generation gets better. Hale'aha is a little ili in Punalu'u that we are from, and it's a gathering place traditionally known in Ko'olauloa. And that is where the ali'i would come together and make decisions about that place, that side of the island. So Hale'aha means gathering place. Aha also means cord, being intertwined together. And it is in that spirit that I'm here. My kupuna come from this island. I'm a Haile. My mom's a Haile from Hilo. And her mother is born in Hilo. Her father was born in Na'alehu. Her father, they were both raised here, and they went to Kamehameha schools and went over to Oahu and raised them there. So my parents live here. They've lived here for 40 years. My sister lives here, and now my daughter and my grandchildren live here. So I have much aloha for this place and for all of you. But also, something about Punalu'u is that it was pretty much the breadbasket of that side because of the water, the vai, the richness. And so right now, if we could just, what I want to do is for us to just think about, I think we started the day thinking about Maui and the people there, and I kind of want to continue that. If we could just sort of close our eyes and just send in that kind of spirit of where you're from, where your grounding is from, and send that mana to that place, to our friends, our ohana there, even our strangers, that that healing can be focused in that space, and that their needs will be the center of all the planning to come. It is love for Aina and the place of grounding that can bring much healing and restoration to all of us in the times of our needs. And so today, so that's Punalu'u. I kind of live near the mountain. Today, what I want to talk about really is Hawai'i. But before I get there, I just want to bring you along on a journey here in that connection to place and people in healing is super important, and it's probably essential to anyone's well-being. And today we're going to hear a little bit about health and healthcare and housing and all the things that are necessary for our full well-being. So when you think about us, Kanaka Maoli, Native Hawaiians, and our connection to our land, to our nation, and specifically to this population, and we think about why are we overrepresented and why are we disproportionately represented in this space? And we've known this for decades. It's nothing new. All of us have known this. We've all done things within our own organizations, in our own families, to try and fix this, right? But when you scan the world, especially colonized countries, you find that we here in Hawaii, we're not all that unique in that indigenous people are overrepresented and disproportionately represented in these types of systems, like incarceration. And so what does that mean? What does that mean to us? What does that mean in the world? Well, there's a ton of research, and I know all of you know this, so just bear with me, but there's a ton of research out there that says historical trauma is really the root to many societal struggles and challenges and inequities and the negative outcomes that we see, including this overrepresentation in our carceral system. And that most of the trauma is connected really to loss of ancestral lands, loss of a political standing, loss of a culture, which includes language, which really leads to a loss of practices that kept our society intact, that kept us healthy, that kept us balanced, and kept us checked. And we no longer have that. It is not that system anymore. But what I want to say is that a system is people. We are the system. It is not policies, procedures. It is us. And so if we want to see a change in the system or a huli in the system, we, the people, got to change. We have to be that change. When I first started working in this field, because I'm justice involved and impacted, I would say a lot of things about the system that wasn't right. Not really connecting it to a person or anything, just the system. And I always say, till this day, that this current system that we're in is not broken. It is how it was designed to be. It is a different system that is not working anymore, similar to what Mr. Johnson said. It's old, it doesn't work anymore. So it's not broken, we just need a new system. And so that's what we're all here for, is because we are the system. And government needs us, we need government, we need partners, we need resources, and it's coming together like this that will help huli that system or create a new system. So this is, the pictures up here is of my son and us, our ohana. We started a nonprofit some years ago when we got introduced to the system in Hawaii, the criminal legal system, and which ultimately failed us, our family. And so we couldn't just sit back and just accept what was happening. There was just way too many questions and non-answers for us. So when my son, he was 19 years old, and he got into a car accident that was very tragic, and his passenger died, the only thing we knew as a family was just to be honest and just to accept whatever was to come, and be there for the family that had lost their loved ones, be there for ourselves, be there for our son. But never in a million years did we think that he would get the sentence that he got. Until this day, for the type of crime that he was charged for, is the harshest in Hawaii's history. But we knew without a doubt that he would take responsibility, and against his lawyer's advice, he pleaded guilty. He wanted responsibility. For us, it was like, why would we plead not guilty? That doesn't align with our values. And that we try to find healing in a system for our family because we were pono. But the system wasn't pono. And so he got 10 years, 19 years old, first offense, not even a parking ticket, had his whole life ahead of him, came from a good family, you know, and it was just surreal. We did not prepare him for prison. We prepared him for other things in life, like other parents. And every single encounter that we had as a family, as a justice-impacted family, was negative. And we would sit back, and my husband and I, me and my sister, me and my parents, me and my in-laws, and ask, how could this be? Why can't we find help? And so, so this is our response. E kolo mea nui is our response to our experience in this justice system. And throughout the years, we found out that we actually, it's not only our story, many families go through what we've gone through. I would say the first 3-4 years, we never shared our story because we were ashamed. Nobody wants to say they have a son that was in prison. Nobody wants to say that, you know, my son made a terrible mistake and somebody died. And so we never shared, and I was a social worker in the community helping families, and yet this happened to me. So that was shame and embarrassing as well. So that was in 2009. He got his sentence in 2011, and we thought that it would be not smooth sailing, but that he wouldn't serve the whole time. So despite he was termed a model inmate, despite him having, I would say, over 10 certificates for completing substance abuse treatment. My sister's laughing. Despite all the connections that he made in there and all the things that he did and all the jobs that he had and all of that, he still served 9.5 years. Every time he went to the parole board, they would add something else on there, like, oh, you need to do this class. Yeah, you did substance abuse treatment, all the different levels, but you gotta do this now. Oh, but they don't offer that. They won't offer that for another year. You know, all that kind of BS, right? And in the meantime, he is serving time there, and not here in Arizona. And so that puts a weight on us as a family to have, because the connection to Aina and to us as his family, like how do we connect? Oh yeah, we do video visits. Okay, that's okay. But that puts a burden on families as well. So anyways, he ends up getting out in the middle of COVID, 9.5 years. I do, and the exact same parole plan that he presented from his very first one when he made 4.5 years was the exact same plan that he used. He had a different lawyer, and she was amazing. But the exact same plan, and they approved that plan. And that's when he came home. But 9.5 years of institutionalization and 9.5 years of telling you you're shit. And now he's been out 2 years, a little over 2 years, doing exceptional, not because of, I mean, because he has a will, but it's not peachy either. There's plenty issues and plenty problems, but he works through it. We still support him. He got married. That's him and his wife there. A year ago. No, not a year ago. This year, they got married in January, and they're gonna have a baby next January. So, yeah, so despite all of that, you know, we definitely know that there's good to come moving forward. He would kill me if he knew I had this slide up anyways. He's like, Mom, I don't want to be your poster child. I'm like, you're not my poster child. Send me all these photos now. But so out of that experience, we started the nonprofit E Kolu Mea Nui, faith, hope, and love. And that's the values of our ohana. And we said something needs to be grounded within who we are, and mostly it's for families that have gone through it and that are going through that we've gone through. And what we know as Kanaka from Punalu'u, from this island, being practitioners, is that the answer to healing is within us and in our culture. And if we are okay, and if we can heal Native Hawaiians, Hawaii can heal. And so our organization is not, it's a tiny organization still run by our family. We're there to fill in the gaps. We're there to help join hands with others that are front lines. We're there to advocate. And we look at it as kind of like the movement with Kaiapuni, so Hawaiian language immersion, with Native Hawaiian focused charter schools, was kind of that first movement of looking at a system and huliing it with our cultural practices. And for this school system, it's the Hawaiian language medium, right? It takes a generation. My kids went to Hawaiian immersion, and so a funny fact, when my son was incarcerated and he went Hawaiian immersion, and he was one of those students that didn't want to speak Hawaiian. So the teacher would talk to him in Hawaiian and he would answer in English. But when he went to prison, I'm going off a little bit, but we would talk to him on the phone, and he would talk to us in Hawaiian, because there's no privacy. And it was nothing, you know, we weren't super fluent. We could get by conversationally. It wasn't telling secrets or anything, but it was like, Mom, I miss you guys. Mom, aloha wau ia oko, ha'o wau ia oko. I miss our place. What does the house look like? How's my bed? You know, those kinds of things. And that saved us. That saved him. That saved him from having to be vulnerable in a place that you cannot be vulnerable, even on the phone. And so when you look, so that's a generation, right, of Native Hawaiian immersion schools. And you figure that's how long it's gonna take us to change this system. Hopefully not that long, but we gotta look at generations out. We cannot look at, okay, what are we gonna do this fiscal year, because we got this much millions of dollars, and then come next fiscal year, we no more that much money, so we're going to cut that program, right? No, we cannot. We have to look how to sustain and how to go further than a year. Another example of a Native Hawaiian system was our Pu'uhonua system. And I see Steve Morse back there. Hi, Steve. And he's the pioneer of bringing that system back within this space. And when my son first went in, when I was still Shane, Steve asked me for be on his board. He heard, I forget, you heard my story. And I tell you, just being on his board and and just meeting and hearing the things and the aspirations that he had for our people in the system gave me so much hope and joy. So I want to mahalo you, Steve, for being here and for doing. I don't think he knows. I never told him that. I haven't seen him in a long, long, long time. But let me see. So this is our mission, vision, and goal. So out of our experience, we know that our mission is that Hawaii has a pono justice system that heals and empowers individuals, ohana, and communities. No more nothing about DPS. I don't mean anything by that, but I mean, we're talking about this is community-centered. This is family-centered, our mission. It is about us. And the vision is that we transform our justice system through Native Hawaiian cultural practices and values. And I'm not talking about sprinkle. I'm not talking about changing some words. I am talking about the real deal. Like, if we say that, we gotta do it. And this is a saying that I learned a couple weeks ago from Tony. She's probably gonna say them again today, but enough hui, too much hui, not enough dewey. Where's Tony? Where is she? Anyways, you guys are gonna hear from her after me. But she says that, too much hui, not enough dewey. And so that's what this means. Our vision is that it needs to be real, not the sprinkling of our culture, not putting a olelo no'eau up and saying, oh, that is our guiding star. No, we really have to bring practitioners to the table and really practice. And then our goal is to innovate alternatives to incarceration, restore the human spirit, build resilient ohana, and change laws and policies. And right in the middle is Ho'iwai. That's what I'm supposed to be talking about, is Ho'iwai. So you guys, I put a card on everybody's seat. It's a postcard. We are a poor nonprofit, so please use it. It is to, if you know anybody inside, send them the postcard. Ho'iwai is a framework. So a framework, guys, is just the frame. We're all here together to paint the picture. I don't have all the answers. I don't have everything that goes into that picture. But I do know that this framework is gonna help in changing or replacing the current system that we have. So what is Ho'iwai? So this is based and grounded in our ancestral knowledge. It has worked for centuries. It is the phenomenon of our lo'i system, or the kalo, and the ingenuity and the intelligence of our people thousands of years ago can outsmart any engineer. Our system fed thousands and thousands of mouths and people, and we were strong. When the first colonizers came and accidentally bumped into our islands, they noted that we were strong and healthy people. And we're gonna hear later that our health is not like that anymore. Why? And so Ho'iwai is made up of two words. Ho'i means to return, and vai means the water, right? Is the flow of the water. And when you put those two together, it really is, it speaks about the wetland agricultural system, where the water and the nutrients that flow through the last taro patch is returned to the source of the main stream, better, filled with more nutrients, and contributing to that ecosystem and the microbes of the main water system that is now gonna flow into feeding something else, flowing into the ocean so that our fish can get fed, etc. And so it is really, the ho'iwai is essential in keeping that harmonious balance amongst all living things dependent on this water source or resource. And the implementation and ideology of a ho'iwai is very reflective of a Hawaiian consciousness of knowledge and understanding between the exchanges and reciprocity and it being pono. So what you take from the water source, the mainstream, which is the po'owai, and you divert it into your lo'i, you know you're gonna give it back. So you're not gonna fill that lo'i with trash. You're not gonna fill that lo'i with wasted resources. You're not gonna fill that lo'i with something that is going to spoil the kalo. You're gonna fill it with fertilizer, nutrients, something that will multiply that lo'i or that kalo so that it feeds thousands, and that from there, people will be healthy. Okay, wait, this is a better depiction of a ho'iwai, and I wanna thank Papa Ololokahi Lilinoi Kawahikawa, who put this together. And so you can see the mainstream coming from the mountain. Les, I gotta say, where's Les? Or Les's team. Next year, you guys gotta put one monitor right there so I can talk and see and don't have to go sideways like that. But anyways, the stream coming down, and then you see the ho'iwai. So it comes down from the top, feeds the lo'i, 1, 2, looks like 3 patches or so, and then goes back into the mainstream. So that right there is the ho'iwai. Okay. Here's another depiction of it, and again, mahalo to Lilinoi. So what are the nutrients? So the nutrients are all of us, and we all bring nutrients to that ho'iwai, to that framework. And there's many nutrients, and the ecology will change. The ecology has changed. So we all have to continuously change too. Our nutrients have to change. So one of the nutrients that Ekolume Nui brings to this ho'iwai is language. We propose, and I challenge all of us here to start thinking of life-giving terms that build mana. Yesterday, so I'm gonna teach at the Women's Correctional Facility next semester, and so I have to go to the volunteer training, right? And I've done that before. And the terms, but I needed to get an A, right? I have to pass so I can go in. But the terms, Tommy, I want to work with you on that, because I had to zip it my mouth like the whole training. I'm like, tomorrow we'll talk about ho'iwai and language, and today I'm sitting over here and listening to the terms. And anyways, okay. So language for us is really important, you know, like, because so this is for real. This ika olelo no ke ola, ika olelo no kamake. In language there is life, and in language there is death. So why would we make terms that are not life-giving? So we have a project at Ekolume Nui around language, and I have been stumped, and I need your folks' help. You'll see it on the Mentimeter. We need a new term for inmate. We need a new term for persons of incarceration. I mean, that's what we go with right now. We need a new term for offender. We need it to be more life-giving. And I know from Stephen and other folks' research, ho'okanaka is also a model. It's a verb, it's not a noun, but who cares, right? I mean, I need to, you guys need to help. So ho'okanaka is to be a person of worth. When we visited Aotearoa, like before COVID, and I went to visit a youth facility, they were starting to call their youth not adjudicated, but they termed them wait, I might get it wrong, but somebody could correct me that knows better, but Rungi Tiratunga, which means a warrior. It's a warrior. And they said once they started to change the terms, that is how their youth started to behave, like warriors. And so that's my call of action, my little call of action to all of you. The other thing is re-entry. Re-entry has so much baggage. Like I would love to change re-entry to Hawai'i. And could that story behind Hawai'i that we all contribute to and share, that would be, when anyways. So that's another thing. So language is super important when we talk about huling the system and transformations. A second thing that we are committed to is resources and resource allocations. There's so many resources in this room, so many. But how do we connect with each other? How do we partner with each other? I was talking outside to another person from Oahu, and we are so impressed that all of you are here from this island representing the whole Kanaka and representing your families and your community. This is amazing, Les. You did an outstanding job in bringing the right people here. But the amount of resources that are here. When my son went in, I tell this story all the time, so you guys may have heard it before. He went into OCCC, right, and then they process you, then they move you to Halava. And so when he went to Halava, I think it was still at OCCC, we told him, when you can, call us. And so he tried to call us, right, and he couldn't. For 3 weeks, we didn't hear from him. And not like I can call and ask, oh, how's my son doing, right? You can't do that. And so we just waited patiently. We don't know nobody. Waited patiently. And finally, a friend of ours called and said, your son is trying to get a hold of you. He called our house because you guys don't have Hawaiian Tel. You guys have, our phone was the cable, was Time Warner. And you cannot make collect calls from the prison if you have that. You only could use Hawaiian Tel, or I set it up at my sister's house. What you had again? Sandwich Isles. Hawaiian Homes, Sandwich Isles. Those were the only two providers. We didn't know that. Nobody told us that. So he memorized a number in his head and called a family friend and said, can you tell my mom to change her subscriber? Because that's the only way I can call her. And we didn't know that. Anyways, those kinds of resources. So we have a resource manual on our website that is always being updated, and it's going through an update right now about how families navigate through this system, because there's not a book. We are the lived experience. We have to hold hands with each other, and we have to tell our stories, and don't be ashamed about it, so that we can rise above this and help be the solution to whatever is happening, right? The third nutrient that Ekolumia Nui adds to Ho'ivai is advocacy. Oh wait, I might be behind here. Okay, here. Is advocacy. And advocacy means that everybody's at the table, that our voices are heard as an ohana, but where are our youth voices? If this is gonna take a generation for us to change and to huli, we need to get the future leaders on board now so that they can help direct and mold what the system needs to be. They can put their aspirations into what their Hawaii should be like, right? So we invest in youth. Last year, our first youth shared time with me on the stage and talked about her voice and her experience. It's my granddaughter, I'll be totally transparent, but her experience as someone being in a lived experience type of ohana. For the longest time, she was 8 months old when my son got into his accident. When he went to prison, she was 2 years old. My son had a girlfriend, not the wife, but a girlfriend at the time, and the girlfriend was in college. So my grandkids was around my son's friends that were going away to college. We never told them that he was in prison. We never told them he went to college. They thought he was in college. So we went to visit him one time in Arizona, and we took the kids. And they were like, we're gonna visit Uncle Coco in college. Da, da, da. And I was like, oh my God, they think he's in college. And we had to tell them, well, we didn't tell them, we just didn't know what to say. Like, we don't know how to have that conversation, right? So we didn't say anything, and so we just took them into the prison and let them figure it out themselves. And they did. And then they, they were like, we don't want to go to college when we get old. So they were, you know, like, she was 8 or 9 years old when we went anyway. So it was a good 5-6 years that they thought he was in college and didn't graduate yet, I don't know. Anyways, and so, so she shares her experience, and we invest in youth so that we can understand what their aspirations are. When, you know, in traditional society, a keiki at the age of 8 years old, 9 years old, would be observed by their kupuna. And then they would be pulled aside and said, your skills and your talents and your resources to us is in this way. And they would be trained from that young up until they become masters in that particular practice. And so why wouldn't we include youth in this conversation? It's not a scary subject, it is their future. And so that's something that, so there were no youths here, but next time, last year, this was during when didn't have school, that it was in March, I think. I forget, was it in March, Carrie? Yeah, March was during spring break, so we could invite youth during that time. So maybe next time we can think about that. So another nutrient is sharing and honoring everyone in this, I don't want to say struggle or fight, but in this space. I'll always share time with anyone. And so I am super honored. You see like the kalo, right? It doesn't just produce one kalo when it's time to huki it. There's little other baby ones attached to it, right? So that's how we get ohana. But ohana also means each one of us and our connections to each other. And so I am so in the very beginning of my son's going into prison, there was like just a small handful of people that helped with my mental health so that I could continue to be sane, and I could continue to serve my family and my community, and I could continue to just be a wahine. And you know what? They're all three here. And I never invite them, but they're all three here. One, of course, is Stephen Morris. The second is Mark Patterson. When he was at Women's Correctional Facility. And the third, I'm so honored to get to invite Dr., I don't know if you guys know this, but Tony, during COVID, did the craziest thing and went back to school and got her doctorate degree in Manawahine. Dr. Tony, where's Tony? Dr. Tony Bisson. Oh, there you are, kid. I get to invite her and share this time with Tony because the nutrient that the Pu'a Foundation brings to Hawai'i as a trailblazer and a pioneer for women is amazing. And so, Tony, I got the clicker over here for you. You can, here I go. Oh, there's Tony when she graduated. Not too long ago, yeah. But she's been in this work for a long, long, long time. And she gives hope, aloha, to the women from Women's Correctional Facility. She employs them with living wages jobs. She's amazing. And I want to say something, I might get it a little bit wrong, and Tony might have to correct me, but I'm half Portuguese too. So, but the Pu'a Foundation in 1993, the 100th year overthrow of Lili'uokalani, the United Church of Christ was one of the entities that gave their apology to the Hawaiian people and admitted to their involvement with the illegal overthrow of our queen. So it wasn't just an apology. They came to the community and said, maybe a small community, and said, we have land and we have resources. What do you think we should do with it? How can we show that we really are sorry? And that, what should we do? So people got together and had huis, and then they doied. And they created the Pu'a Foundation that is dedicated to reducing the number of women that are incarcerated. They made the direct connection between the illegal overthrow of our queen to the overrepresentation of women being incarcerated to that time in 1993. So they created the Pu'a Foundation, and since its inception, Tony has been the CEO and the main one doing all this amazing work. She's a mana wahine, and she's gonna come up here and share about what they are up to right now. And you only got 15 minutes, sir.
This is Mana Wahine right here, man, right here. She is amazing. You stay up here with me. Can you stay up with me, please? Okay. Put your hand. Aloha mai kako, o Tony Gray, Cecilia Kalino Hulihe'i, Bisin ko uinoa, no New Valley Maiao, o Ka'ala, ko umauna, o Norbert, Blaze, Bisin, Laua, o Lehua, Lum, Bisin, ko umau makua. Aloha, my name is Tony Bisin. I come from the community of New Valley. Our mauna, being from Oahu, is Ka'ala. My parents are Blaze, Norbert Blaze Bisin. My father from Kahului, Maui, and my mother is Johanna Kahili Lehua Lum from Maunalua, Oahu. Aloha, and thank you for allowing me to just share with Jamie. I think when she talks about Ohana, that's why we open. I got about 10 minutes, yeah, I had 5-10 minutes. When Jamie comes up here and she talks about Ohana, and then she chants about who she is, I just thought, and I'm gonna call Mark Patterson too, because what we're gonna do is, how many of us know the first verse of E Kolumea Nui? Hands up. Hands up, who knows? Because I think we should honor Jamie, her ohana, her efforts, and we just sing E Kolumea Nui first verse. Hikino. Mark Patterson, start us off maybe. Okay, so my last name Bisin, yeah? We got plenty, and please send our mana to Maui because there is action over there. Some of my ohana are talented at singing. That wouldn't be me, but so if we do it together, maybe we can do this. Ikulmenui. Oh, right on. Hey, that's right, Mark Patterson. You know, Kalavina churches. We know how to sing. Anybody from Kalavina churches in the house? Kalavina churches. Please, please, please. What Jamie talked about in terms of how Pu'a Foundation got started, it came out of the United Church of Christ, which is our Kalavina churches. I'm serious about starting us off, brother. So really, come on. Do you guys wanna get on your phone? And okay. E ko mea nui ua o kamana o I o kamana o lana o me ke I think the thing is, I'm actually, when Jamie talked to me a little bit about her amazing presentation that she was going to lead off this amazing conference, again, kudos to Les and Going Home Hawai'i for everybody being in this room. She just asked me to share a little bit about peer support and some of the work that we happen to be doing. So I've prepared a really quick slides about that. But you know, she kind of set the tone when she says, I was supposed to talk about one thing and then she's talking about another thing. So I'm gonna follow suit, I'm gonna follow her lead. And I think what's interesting about how when she mentioned that I happen to have done some research in the area to get my dissertation, what that had to do with was the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiian women incarcerated, as well as focusing on this understanding of how you transform from trauma, and also about this notion of cultural practices and cultural concepts. In particular, the title of my dissertation had, you know, mumbo jumbo with the dissertation stuff, but kalamaya. But the point really is, it was Hawaiian female leadership, the Manawahine factor. And one of the points that I made in this research has to do with, I did a lot of research on identifying a lot of reports, a lot of efforts spanning decades, you folks, that really talk about Hawaiians that are overrepresented in the criminal justice system, 40 plus years. And so I documented a lot of that. And then a lot of, just recently, in recent history, they always talk a little bit about cultural practices and how that could be effective. Anybody knows or has heard of this term, symbolic politics theory? Symbolic politics theory. Okay, yeah, I'm not like that either, believe me. But it's this term that's very important. And one of the mentors in my study talked about and taught me what that was. And have we heard the term, let's get tough on crime, right? And you hear politicians sometimes say that, let's get tough on crime, but what does that actually mean? How do you do that? So similarly, here in our circle, yeah? Here in Hawaii, we have all of these great recommendations. We have all this research and all these reports that talk about cultural practices and talk about cultural concepts. But when the rubber hits the road and how you do them, who you learn from, how you measure, that's what we gotta work on. So my dissertation spoke to that. And in fact, we talked about this understanding of mana. We talked about how it can be transformation from, and offer healing. We talk a lot about family, we talk about healing and those kinds of things. But when the rubber hits the road, can we really describe how it looks and what it looks like? So what I did is, I happen to also be a hula practitioner, and I interviewed 2 focus groups, and they were cultural experts in the cultural practice of hula. And they explained from their perspective what mana was, what this concept of manawahine was, really in depth of the cultural practice of hula, and how that in fact can be healing, and connecting that to trauma, transformation, and connected to the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiian women incarcerated. So that's where I'm off script with this, but getting onto peer support. But I think I want to plant that seed because it is about, let us understand exactly when the rubber hits the road, what does that mean? What does mana mean? How do you effectuate it? Similarly, a lot of us talk about what is being trauma-informed. Trauma-informed. What is peer support? So I'm just going to talk about this really quickly. Because when Jamie talked about, she was at the presentation, what that means, hui and dewey. Like, we want a dewey, yeah, you guys. We don't no hui. We got a dewey. And so what I love, because I was crying in the back, because when we talk about ikolu, this is a family issue, yeah? I talked to my cousins. We got, you guys, everybody is like that. We got cousins on the bench. We got cousins behind bars. And so we understand this is a us thing. It's not us and them. It's always us. This is ohana. So I think some of my work has been focused on, and this is, you guys, peer support. Anybody have heard about what peer support is? Nice. And I'm going to point out some women right there. Wendy Akau, who's a certified peer support specialist and a champion here in Hawaii, who I've known for a long time. And that's what leadership looks like in peer support, and I'm not even kidding. So really quickly, oh, yeah, that was good. So we're going to have a couple of really, really quick overview about peer support and what does that look like. So what is peer services? Oh, yes, it would be better if we had something in the front. A peer support specialist is an individual with lived experience, but they're certified and they are trained, and it's not for everyone. Just like therapists or case management. That's not like everybody wants to do this kind of stuff. So the people who we get to work with who have justice, and I want to just say, forensic peer specialists has to do with their expertise of lived experience with the criminal justice system. So these are champions. Is that Michelle Kobayashi? Right there, putting something in her mouth. Another champion right there. That's right, Michelle Kobayashi, I see you. So these are some of the leadership on this island around peer support. And so it is, oh, wait, what? Okay, well, anywho, so what that other slide said was what it is, what peer services are, and also how it enhances services so we can be more effective. So that quote about symbolic politics, yeah. We hear what is the definition of trauma-informed. We hear peer support, like what does it mean? When the rubber hits the road, it's how we train, how we implement, how we manage, and how we get to doing. Not hui, yeah, no. So this is how I want us to maybe think a little bit about peer support. So our next slide talks about why should we do peer support? Because it's cost effective and there's better outcomes. And a lot of this information has come from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. This stuff is best practices. This stuff is proven. People want this to happen. And so I think what Tommy teaches, what Director Johnson teaches, has taught me from way back when we started doing this. He says 3 things. Safe, clean, affordable housing, livable wage, healthy relationships are what you need for re-entry success. So peer support with an integrated team, like a case manager, like a therapist, in a housing setting, can provide the hands and feet to be able to bring us the outcomes we want. So that's just a plant there. Cost effective, no, this is good. This is some numbers that we talk about, dollars and cents. I got the first number, which $247 per day at a facility from the 2022 annual report from PSD. But our director said, inflation, yeah. So it's 257, I think now, 258. So again, why peer support? More effective, cost effective, and we can serve more people. So this is not just talk what is our next slide real quick? Okay, I wanted to connect the dots around trauma-informed. A lot of people say, yep, we trauma-informed. Anybody know exactly what the 6 principles are? This is a quiz. See if you guys are listening. Anybody can say, without looking at the slide, what is the first, and I expect Michelle and Wendy to know this stuff because you guys trained, and you guys are going to train people, so I hope you guys know this. Number 1, first thing, trauma-informed. Anybody know? Oh, nice. Oh, this is a game show. Second, anybody? Trust, transparency, is that what I heard? Oh, yeah. No, we got some good people. Like, exactly. The reason why this is important, because these are the 6 principles we should be rolling off our head, because if we say we're trauma-informed, we got to know what these things are. Not only are you going to know what it is, you got to be that. Okay, 5 minutes. And it says, okay, safety, trust, transparency, peer support, mutuality and collaboration, empowerment, voice and choice, historical, cultural, and gender issues. So those are the 6 things. Why am I putting that in the peer support slide? because SAMHSA tells us how we can be trauma-informed is to utilize peer support. Boom. Okay, drop the mic. Just kidding. So this is just concepts for us to know because we got 5 minutes. Second slide, next slide we got. Okay, here. So Heather is a champion, as you all know, and she did a sequential intercept model workshop in 2018, and she did it with HPD, harm reduction. And so what this is, and the reason I'm showing it, it's the connection of being trauma-informed, what SAMHSA tells us it should be done, how we coordinate resources within the continuum of care. Just 2 weeks ago, no, maybe 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, we also had the opportunity to do a SAMHSA SIM workshop to identify where peers could fit in, but also focusing on incarcerated women, as well as the newly created women's court. So again, we hear comments about how do we do cultural practices? How are we trauma-informed? What is peer support? And how are we getting and garnering the kinds of resources together systematically? What SAMHSA wants us to do is use these tools. So what we were able to do, and they're writing our report, is to really identify and understand who does what within the different sequential intercepts. Okay, I gotta go. Because, I thought Heather was like, wrap it up. And so what this is, just to bring close to this, is the SAMHSA model with SIM talks about how we can do this, how you can really identify time, talents, and treasures along a very systematic way. And so what we try to do at the Pu'a Foundation, and the leadership has to be, and the center has to be in terms of the work we like to do, is putting our peer supports and putting our justice-involved women at the center to understand what we are doing this for. And so hopefully, this gives us the kind of outcomes we all want. When the rubber hits the road, putting the flesh on the bones, if you will, identifying people's time, talents, and treasures, coordinating that in an effective way, and applying that, in our case, the work we're doing at WCCC and the Women's Court, because you know what the numbers are? Not more than 200. We can get housing for 200 women. We can get jobs and peers and case managers and therapists and benefits for 200 women. Who's with me? Yeah, no. I think we have to look at it that way, yeah? What are the numbers? What is the cost? How is it? The other slide talked about how much does it cost for peer support. We can save a lot of money. And something that, again, what Director Johnson teaches me, safe, clean, affordable housing, livable wage, healthy relationships. The thing with peer support, it is a vocation, it is leadership, it is a profession that can give you a livable wage, and at the same time, double bottom line, to be able to work and get things done and have the outcomes that we all want and reduce the overrepresentation of Native Hawaiians incarcerated, and that's our family, yeah? So we're doing it for our family, for our community. And so this is just some beautiful faces who have, in fact, been trained, been certified, and also are employed. And our next slide is, yup, we Hawaii strong. So we can and we will. Mahalo for your time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, mahalo, Heather. One more quick thing. There's actually 4 people that poured into my life during that time, and it's Dr. Hannah over there. She helped me when my son got into his accident and came and did family therapy for us. So I want to acknowledge her.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
I was not telling her to wind it up because that was too powerful, but we are up for a 10-minute break. I know it's going to be hard because you want to talk story with everybody, so remember we do have a lunch for an hour for talk story, so if you could try to keep it to 10 minutes, according to my watch, back at 10:50, so we can move along with our plenary. Thank you, everybody. Let's give it up again for Dr. Jamie Miller and Dr. Tony Bisson.